All right, ladies and gentlemen, Spencer Rattler, welcome back. Franchise quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, getting it going again. Week 5 against a really good defense, a surprising good defense to a lot of people. But Mike Vrabel, really good free agency, good draft as well for this New England Patriots team, as demonstrated by their upset in Buffalo 2 weeks ago. So Spencer Rattler, he's 1-11 as a starter. We're going to be doing a film study here today. We did a film study about a week ago, and he went 20-26, 227, no touchdowns, but no interceptions, and he put New Orleans in a position to win this game, and we're just going to talk about it, and we're going to be breaking down film. So this nickel here, this cornerback, he looks like he's blitzing this whole way, and this is the very first play of the football game. You know, one thing you hear so much about Spencer Rattler is his inability to read the field, his inability to take deep shots. I don't know what we're watching here. I apologize to every Saints fan watching this video. The Saints roster, they're missing some cogs, right? They're missing pieces. They're missing more than a couple of pieces. So what we have here on the first play of the game is a cornerback blitz, which means this safety has to rotate over to cover Chris Olave in this side of the field. Now, he's not anticipating Olave to go deep. He does, gets him on just a quick little, you see this route right here, little in and out, just barely. Once again, the offensive line is also, not where you want it to be, per se. All right, and this player right here, I can't tell who this is, number 2. I think it's Harold Landry for New England. He's about to get to Spencer Rattler, but he actually slips and falls. It looks like it really didn't even matter because Rattler's about to whip this ball deep to Olave, and where does it land? Perfectly in his hands, and you have a completion of 53 on the very first play of the game. So without further ado, let's hop into this film study for Rattler. Now, I do want to show you some of the bad, because this right here is the same possession, first possession of the football game. We're after the Chris Olave 53-yarder, and what you have here is 3rd and 4, and you got what looks like Brandon Cooks running a slant. You got Olave who's about to run into motion, and he's going to be crossing. And the Patriots are going to bring the house here. They're going to bring 6 total players. And this other angle is going to give you a better representation of what happens, because Olave falls, and it really disrupts this play. But you got to be a little bit quicker on your feet. And so here we go. Olave's going to run in motion. What ends up happening is they're bringing 6, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blitzers, all right? Rattler sees this. He picks it up. Olave's making his move, and what ends up happening is he gets hit, and he falls, and this disrupts all of the timing on this play, because he's going to get literally no separation, because number 25 right here was that Marcus Jones, and I apologize. I've been sneezing an absolute fit over here. We have to make this throw right now. We have to make this throw to Brandon Cooks. Right here. We got to make this throw. But Olave is the designated, or, he's the read here. And if he doesn't, you just need 4 yards. And they're bringing the blitzes. If he doesn't get tripped up here, he's got separation. And to be quite honest with you, you're probably looking at a touchdown here if Olave doesn't fall and gets into his route right away. But it doesn't end up happening. And they're bringing a blitz. Number 31's coming in quick, and you got to just get this ball out. And what sucks is, Brandon Cooks on the slanter ends up, or what if you give him a couple of more seconds on the offensive line, he'd be open for a touchdown. But you gotta, it's tough, because I'm watching Rattler's eyes here. He's looking left. He sees this blitz. He doesn't know Olave is literally about to trip up. All right, so he's looking, literally just made his look to Olave. He's literally got a hand on the ground. All right, so you got to make this really quick decision and throw it to Brandon Cooks, who is open, but he doesn't. Lets it go a little bit longer, and you got just very sticky coverage because the timing is completely disrupted by this. Otherwise, Olave is able to get right up in here, and this, once again, if he's got a little bit of separation, I think this is a touchdown. And if you give a little bit more time, you've got a touchdown here. You've got to let the play develop because we got a DB, so it's not even close. But if you give it more time, you got a touchdown. I think this is Juwan. You might even have one here, but they bring 6. New Orleans offensive line's just not able to pick it up, and they have to kick a field goal. All right, folks. We got a negated play here for 23 yards to Devon Vele running kind of a deep dig here. And this is going to get negated because we got a left tackle, Kelvin Banks, ends up getting the hold. Ref's about to call this flag, and he finds Vele nicely for what would have been 23 yards. And if you're new to this channel, I am a Gamecock biased fan, so I'm a supporter of Spencer Rattler. We said in our last video, if he was a first or second round guy, the whole discussion around him being a franchise guy would be relatively obvious, at least in my opinion. The Saints just need more weapons, and you'd be looking at this and you're like, okay, well, he's 1-11 as a starter. He's got 6 touchdowns this year, only 1 interception. He's dodging blitzes every single dodging sacks every single football game, by the way. The offensive line, got a young offensive line, 2 young tackles, need some work adjusting to the NFL, what have you. But I do think Spencer Rattler, at least, basically my whole take is, as the season progresses, it will become obvious that Rattler should be built around. Now, it is a difficult decision because you do have a youngster, a second-round pick in your back pocket, and I see stuff about this being a good quarterback draft class. I don't really see that. Now, you have Olave here who's going to end up getting, kind of open on this crossing route here, but Rattler's got to step into this pocket, doesn't see the safety in enough time, and you've got room up here. So he makes this quick throw, ends up being 23 yards, but like we said, this left tackle here, Banks, gets called on the hold, and we'll show you right here. Gets called on this hold. He doesn't need to hold anything, and with Rattler, people, like I said a couple of clips ago, people are like looking through progressions and stuff. You got to keep in mind, the offensive line, just it's not been the best. So here's what I'm saying. As far as Olave goes, he's up here. He looks completely covered at this current point. So he's looking right, finds Vele. Kind of surprised Vele doesn't end up getting this into the end zone, but this would have been 23 yards. It's not. It's an offensive holding, and now New Orleans, once again, they have to settle for a field goal. All right, we're back to the red zone. This is the end of the first half. We got Olave down here. And this is, you've kind of seen this all over social media, at least Saints social media, where this really should be a touchdown. It's 3rd and 4. The defensive edge here, let's get like Harold Landry. Actually, it's not going to be Harold Landry, but he's going to get to Rattler right away. And this ball's got to be caught. The defensive back does such a good job here on Olave. And I'll show you this other angle. But once again, take a look up right here on the edge. Rattler, the right tackle, doesn't do much. He's about to get whopped. He does get whopped. And you can't see the best angle of Olave down here. So I'll show you the other angle where you'll see it. But this, you can't really throw this football better thrown with anticipation. And like I said, let me know if you like these style of clips, because when I see... Sorry, I just hit the mic. When I see quarterbacks or teams struggling in the red zone, I want to get a good grasp of why. Rattler's thrown 6 touchdowns this season, only 1 interception. There's a really good case that he should have at least 10 total touchdowns on this season. But once again, he's about to get hit. He throws this football, ends up getting hit. And right here, it looks, this defensive back, man, he really does a good job. And the broadcast angle would probably give you a better illustration. I'm trying to pause it at the proper time. And, of course, I keep messing it up. But the ball is in his hands. You can kind of see this right here. The ball is in Olave's hands. And I know this is a difficult contested catch because, like I said, this DB plays this pretty much perfectly. What would have been perfectly is if he actually gets his hand on this defensive pass breakup. But this ball, I'm a firm believer. I'm old school, man. If the ball's in your hands, you got to catch the football. Obviously take that with a grain of salt. There's plenty of instances where the ball's well over your shoulders or it's going to the ground, in the sideline, whatever, where it's a really difficult catch. But this ball's in Olave's hands, and you just got to come down with this. He's not able to. DB makes a great play, but Rattler really throws this ball in the most perfect spot, and Olave's just not able to bring it in. So once again, they got to kick a field goal. We're going to the final possession here, and the possession right before this, so it's currently 25-19 right now, New England's way. There's 5 minutes left in this football game. They're all the way on the 14-yard line. There's 5 minutes left, but they got to drive down the field. They got to score a touchdown. A touchdown wins this football game. The possession before, we saw Juwan Johnson rare fumble, and that really changes the football game. But the Saints do get the football back. And you can barely see Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks on this deep dig is going to end up catching this football. Offensive line does a good job of protecting him, giving him enough time. And right here is where Rattler throws this ball. And I wish this other angle gave you a better view of this. Brandon Cooks right here is going to catch this ball for 21 yards. He's going to catch it around here. But this ball is thrown in the most perfect spot. Because right now, we got two deep defensive backs, or actually, I think 14's a linebacker, Robert Spillane. We got a linebacker. We got a defensive back. This is a difficult ball to throw, and he confuses these guys. Spillane's in no man's land. 25 reacts to this way too late, Marcus Jones. And this ball is just thrown, and it's a good, number 0 right here. Christian Gonzalez does a good job on this ball. But this is just so well thrown, and I wish this other angle gave you a better view of just how tight this pocket is, and you can kind of see it. This ball is thrown only where Brandon Cooks can catch it, and props to Brandon Cooks for holding this and bringing it down. And we'll show you a couple of clips on this final drive here that ends the day for the New Orleans Saints. I wish I could show you, honestly, every single offensive play for the Saints. Run game was not moving in any way, shape, or form, averaging just 3.2 yards per carry. And, Rattler tried to do it all on his own and just ultimately fell short, but we'll show you. We're one play after the last clip I just showed you. So it's 2nd and 7, 4 minutes left in this football game. And this one drives me crazy because the Saints offense only has 2 plays left in this football game. And, maybe I'll show you what we see here. Offensive line is breaking down, but Rattler runs out of it. He finds Chris Olave, and what happens, I'm sure you guys know, the ball is dropped. Now, I'm a big fan of Chris Olave, mainly probably because I have him in fantasy football. I also like Ohio State wide receivers. I think they're sweet, and I just like Olave. Maybe the ball's a little bit high, but he's running for his life. This ball has to be caught. I mean, you've got to catch this football. There's a good argument, and maybe this is a little too hypothetical. If Chris Olave catches this football right here, the Saints have a really good opportunity to win this football game, but he drops it. All right, we've made it to the end of the football game, the last play for the New Orleans Saints, and I'm not a huge fan, and this is actually deeper. I'm not a huge fan of this play call, and it's 3rd and 7. You guys can't really even see Shaheed, who's going to be the target on this play. But this is... and I'm sorry, I'm kind of stumbling for words here because I'll show you what happens, actually. Let's go with that. This ends up being a bad decision by Rattler. Once again, I'm not a huge fan of this play call because you need 7 yards, and it's 3rd and 7, and there's 4 minutes left in this football game. Me, personally, I'm playing 4-down territory. So we have the 1st down marker right here, the 45-yard line. We got a wide receiver here. We got somebody here. We got somebody here. It's just a little too deep for me. I would have called something shorter, and obviously I'm a apartment offensive coordinator making this in my apartment. But you actually have a good opportunity right here. This is Juwan Johnson. This ball, you got to throw it here. All right, we got to throw this football right here. Nearest defender is here. Juwan, if he's not even able to get the 1st down, the ball's at least somewhere around here where it's 4th and short, and that's going to change the game. But Rattler ends up going deep. This safety creeps in. Little, not miscommunication necessarily, but a little, Shaheed goes in. The ball's more out. This just ends up being a mistake, and I'll show you this other angle as we conclude this video. All right, chips. So right here, he's looking at Juwan. You got to just make this throw right there to Juwan. but he doesn't. And, now it's 4th and 7. They decide to punt the football and don't get it back. So is Rattler a perfect quarterback? Absolutely not. Is he doing enough to be a franchise guy? I think 100%. Is he doing enough to be the starter for the rest of the season? I think that's obvious. It's just not the best roster, especially on the bottom. The bottom of the roster's got to be filled out. And I know the Saints are 1-5, but obviously if you're a Saints fan watching this video, I think it's a really good 1-5. It's not New York Jets 0-6 level. They were competitive with the Bills, saw a good game against the Giants, a good game against a really good team, a playoff team, 4-2 New England Patriots. So, folks, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the clips I had for you guys. Let me know if you want more of these, if you want more Saints videos, anything like that. But as always, give me your thoughts on Spencer Rattler. Is he a franchise guy? What are you thinking, especially if you're a Saints fan? But I hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Peace.